What if, as a child, you claimed your parents were not your real parents? What if you insisted, with tears and longing, that your true home lay somewhere far away, and that you had a husband, a child, even memories of your own death? What if the world took you seriously? This is not fantasy. It is the astonishing story of Shanti Devi, a girl whose childhood recollections shook India in the 1930s and still evoke wonder and skepticism today. Welcome to the channel, where history meets the mysterious. If you love curious true stories from the past, hit subscribe and ring the bell. Now join me as we journey through the enigma of Shanti Devi. Let us begin in Delhi, December 11th, 1926. Shanti Devi was born to the Mathur family in Delhi, about 145 kilometers from Mathura, a sacred city in northern India. For the first few years, she was silent. Unlike most children, she barely babbled. It was only around age 4 that she suddenly began to speak, and what came out startled her family. She told them, "This is not my real home. I belong to Mathura. I have a husband there. I died shortly after giving birth." She spoke in a dialect different from her family's, and named the town Mathura, their pronunciation of Mathura. She even criticized the cloth material her mother had bought, saying the merchant lied about its quality, because, in her memory, her husband ran a cloth shop. At first, her parents dismissed this as childhood fantasy or imagination, but the claims only intensified. By age 6, Shanti became insistent. She told her parents that their home was wrong, that she must return to Mathura. She ran away from home on one occasion, trying to reach it. Her teacher and school headmaster tried to understand. He asked her questions, tried to trace the place she named, and soon, amazed, he discovered there was truth behind some of her statements. He located a man in Mathura named Kedar Nath Chabi, whose deceased wife, Lugdi Devi, had died in childbirth a few years before, and whose life details matched what Shanti described. When Kedar Nath's relative came to Delhi to meet Shanti, she recognized him, not as the husband, but correctly as his cousin. When the real Kedar Nath later visited her disguised, she recognized him immediately, claimed his name, and wept. She identified him by the details she had spoken: his appearance, a wart on his cheek, his glasses, details she had named long before. When Kedar Nath asked her privately, she described her own death in childbirth, complications, and told him things only the deceased Lugdi might have known. This stunned Kedar Nath, and the story spread quickly. As the news reached Delhi and beyond, it stirred both belief and disbelief. Mahatma Gandhi took notice. He decided this deserved rigorous scrutiny. He appointed a committee of 15 respected citizens, lawyers, leaders, thinkers, to accompany Shanti to Mathura and assess whether her memories held verifiable truth. On the 15th of November 1935, the commission set out, with Shanti and her parents, to travel to Mathura by train. When she stepped onto the Mathura station, she immediately touched the feet of an unknown man in traditional attire, whispering that he was her Jeth, the elder brother of her husband. To everyone's astonishment, that man was Ram Chabi, Kedar Nath's elder brother. She had never met him in her current life, yet recognized him instantly. From the station, she took the reins, guiding the commission's carriage through the streets. The driver was instructed to follow only her directions, without help. She named lanes, pointed to houses, indicated which had been built later. Many of these turned out correct. Once in the house she claimed as her old home, she recognized relatives from her past life, her in-laws, siblings, even the old father figure in a crowd, calling them by name and recounting things only she could know. To test her further, the committee asked her to point out a washroom jadru, or explain a family word katora, private terms known only within the Jabi family. She answered correctly. She also claimed she had buried some money under a floorboard in the old house. The committee excavated but found nothing. She insisted the money had been removed after her death. Indeed, Kedar Nath later admitted that he had removed it. At the end of this journey, in 1936, the commission published a 26-page report concluding there was no rational explanation and affirming that Shanti was likely the reincarnation of Lugdi. To critics, this was insufficient. In the same era, Balchand Nahata published a report, Punarjanma Ki Prayoluchana, arguing that the material was weak and that the claims did not conclusively prove reincarnation. Still, the debate persisted, and many researchers kept returning to the case for decades. Years passed. Shanti Devi grew to adulthood, yet she never married in her present life. She recounted her experiences again and again. In 1939, investigator Sushal Bose interviewed Shanti, her father, and Kedar Nath, recording many testimonies, though he offered no final verdict in his published work. Decades later, in the 1960s, Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist and reincarnation researcher, revisited the case. Reviewing available records and interviewing surviving witnesses, he asserted that there were at least 24 statements by Shanti that matched verifiable facts in Lugdi's life. In February 1986, K.S. Rawat, drawing on Stevenson's work, interviewed Shanti in Delhi. And again, near the end of her life in 1987, just days before she passed away on December 27, 1987. In those interviews, she described even her near-death experiences from her past life. She spoke of witnessing her own funeral, seeing spiritual records, a luminous staircase, and being guided through realms beyond. She also explained how she believed her intense devotion, in particular, constant recitation of the divine name of Krishna, helped her memory persist across death. But here is where nuance matters. Many details are drawn from retrospective interviews, oral memory, later reconstructions. The records are not always contemporaneous, and skeptical voices argue that memory errors, confirmation bias, and suggestive interviewing may have shaped the narrative. Skeptics point to the lack of fully independent documentation made before verification, potential prompting by believers, and the cultural context that favored reincarnation belief, even among believers. Comparisons are drawn to other famous reincarnation claims, like the Bridey-Murphy case, where further investigation revealed memory contamination. The extraordinary nature of the claim demands extraordinary proof, and for many, the Shanti case remains inconclusive. Nevertheless, among reincarnation researchers, the Shanti Devi case remains one of the most widely cited, and many still regard it as one of the strongest documented cases. Let us pause and reflect on what makes this case so compelling and controversial. How could a child born nearly 2 years after Lugdi's death know so many particulars, names, places, family connections that only insiders would know? Could she have accessed records, overheard conversations, or had contact with people who shared these stories? Or might she have heard fragments and unconsciously woven them into a coherent narrative? Were interviewers biased, asking leading questions, or filling in gaps? How reliable are memory and testimony, especially across decades? Could this reflect not literal reincarnation, but a deep psychological phenomenon, cryptomnesia, collective memory, or intuition. Some proponents argue that the consistency of her statements across years, breadth of detail, emotional intensity, and verified matches defy easy explanation by ordinary means. Skeptics counter that the absence of rigorous scientific controls and the possibility of selective reporting make the case weak as empirical proof. One thing is clear: the Shanti Devi story forces us to question how much we trust human memory, how our beliefs shape interpretation, and whether the boundary between life and death may be more mysterious than we imagine. So where does that leave us now? Shanti Devi's tale holds three enduring threads. Mystery of memory, a child recalling a past she shouldn't otherwise know. Power of belief, a nation's leaders, scholars, and skeptics wrestled with whether to accept or reject what she said. Open-ended enigma, no definitive verdict, but a case that still sparks wonder about life, death, and what may lie beyond. Was Shanti truly Lugdi reborn, or simply a brilliant, deeply imaginative child who tapped into stories around her? We may never know with certainty, but the story compels us to reflect on how we interpret the extraordinary, how belief and evidence interact, and how sometimes in history, what we cannot explain becomes more fascinating than what we can. Thank you for traveling this path with me. If this story intrigued you, leave a comment. What do you think happened? Reincarnation, memory, something we haven't imagined. If you're hungry for more curious histories, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, so together we stay curious about the past's mysteries. Until next time, this has been Channel, where the past echoes into the unexpected.